Listeners, hospitality is not just about restaurants and hotels. It's about true transformation. And today we're going to do a deep dive on that topic, and we're excited to share it with you. Valerie, welcome back to the Space to Be Well.
Yay, I'm glad we're back for another chat, Michelle.
And listeners, we have really been on an incredible journey talking about wellness design as a philosophy. And it is how we achieve well-being through the built environments, whether it's your home or your business. This is something that I think can be life-changing. And if you haven't, please listen to the first half of our first season, where we talked about the resonant framework and how we really dissect the dimensions of achieving well-being in the built environment. And this second half of season 1, we are talking about wellness design principles. And last week we talked about luxury, the big L.
I love it. That was such a good one.
And this week we're talking about the big H.
Ooh, my favorite.
Can you guess?
Yeah, of course.
Hospitality.
Yes.
Yes, listeners, hospitality is a philosophy for wellness design. It is something that we use every day in the environments that we create, and something you really want to be utilizing, paying attention to, and incorporating into your home, into your place of business. Hospitality can directly impact how we feel. It helps us to feel cared for. It helps us to feel welcomed. It helps us to feel connected, whether it's with others or even with ourselves. So it's really important that we think about hospitality as a philosophy, no matter what type of environment that you're designing. And Valerie, I feel like a lot of people think about hospitality in terms of service, or even more along the lines of hospitality in hotels and restaurants. But true hospitality is about transformation, not necessarily service and decoration. It's about transformation, and it can really make a difference in your life when you incorporate this principle into all of your designs. Something that we do, Valerie, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think hospitality is one of those things that it's kind of unspoken in so many ways that it just kind of hides along the background, but yet it actually speaks the loudest when you're in your environment, to know that you walk in and someone's, thought of the exact beverage that you want, or that the lighting is dim to make you feel so relaxed right at that moment when you need it most. That intuition and that attentiveness that we can create through the built environment, and I think is just, there's so many things. I love this topic.
Yeah, me too. It's the invisible host.
Yeah. Ooh, yes.
It's the invisible host. This is the host that welcomes you, cares for you, and this is all intuitive in design, because in reality, through hospitality design, your walls speak, your furniture speaks, it cradles you, it cares for you, it welcomes you, it inspires you. This is something that when you think about hospitality design as being that silent host, it's what's happening in the environments you're participating in. You could be a great host, right? You're a great host, Valerie.
Oh, thank you.
The hostess with the mostest. But it's the environment around you as well. And this is why these experiences, listeners, you've probably all had them all, when you go to this great hotel and you have this most incredible experience. It's because of the whole philosophy of hospitality, not just the service. The service absolutely matters, but what complements the service, and your willingness to care for and serve others, because it really is about the human heart behind it all, isn't it?
It
If
is.
you
Yep.
care about people, if you care about the participants that are in your space, and you even want to care for yourself, putting effort into not just being a caring and hospitable person, it's about creating an environment that's also caring and hospitable.
Absolutely. It's almost that act of, the actions, it's what we put in place that will yield that feeling of, self-care and caring for others and that connection and transformation that we really want to achieve.
Exactly.
Wellness.
It's what transforms us physically, spiritually, and emotionally in these spaces. And I love this topic too, Valerie. It's something that, we talked last week about luxury. And by the way, listeners, these principles all overlap. And so hospitality is, closely aligned with luxury, and will be closely aligned with the other principles that we're going to talk about. And so, when you're thinking about your space that you're going to be designing, no matter what type of environment, hospitality, I think will play a big role. And there's so much to tap into here, Valerie.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I think when you're planning for your design of your space, your home, your business, you really need to go back to thinking about some of your top experiences at destination resorts and hotels, because there's so much to take away from those experiences, from the big concepts to the smallest of details. And that's where sometimes hospitality can be found, is in the smallest of details. I'm thinking about this luxury brand hotel in New York City. It was Midtown Manhattan, and it was my first time at this particular hotel. And I've, frequented other hotels, but I thought, I'm going to try this. And they had gone through a recent remodel. And, I'm a business traveler, so I always have my laptop with me, and I'm always, getting work in on my trips. And, one of the things that just I can't stand in hotels, if I might say, is the built-in desk that faces the wall.
Oh,
It's like, okay, let's
right?
drop all our bags, let's unpack the laptop, and let's plop it on the built-in desk that faces the wall so I can, just look at the wall.
Yeah.
And so when I walked into this room, I was looking around, I'm like, where's the desk? Where am I going to work? And off in the corner, and this had, it was a corner room. Off in the corner was this lovely, oversized armchair. And in front of it was this beautiful C-shaped table, which not unlike we have in front of us, might have even inspired what we're doing here today. This lovely C-shaped table that was a little bit oversized. And I will tell you, I thought to myself, I'll be darned that for the first time, it fit my laptop perfectly. I had my cup of coffee, my morning green juice, fit on the table. And guess what? I'm overlooking Central Park. So,
not a bad view.
They got it right.
Yeah.
They got it right. And it's about that detail. It's thinking about how we go through space and what we do, and, why do it the same as everybody else, and really thinking out of the box about, and that's the level of detail and care that needs to go in hospitality. And right there, that was design, that was thought, that was care, and that was execution.
And intentional.
Yeah. Tell me about an experience, Valerie, that you've had in your travels that really struck you as unique. And
yeah, I think for me, one of the times that comes to mind is actually more about being in a restaurant, actually. But it was from the way that they answered the phone, the way that when we arrived, we were ushered to our dedicated table that had a simple detail with our name welcoming us. It happened to be for an anniversary that we went to this restaurant, and just every single detail, from the way that the care, through the way the food was plated, all the way through the entire experience. But at every like kind of juncture, there was an extra little surprise that you weren't expecting, a little detail that they thought of that really just made us feel like, wow, this is, they really care about us as the customer, and they care about what they're producing, about how someone experiences their vision of their food and their restaurant. So I think I still remember it just vividly, because I just suck in all those details like that. It's just like magic to me. So.
Absolutely. Guess why? Because good hospitality has an afterglow.
Absolutely.
It lasts.
Yeah.
This is why we remember these distinct and unique experiences in terms of hospitality, because when you're cared for and everything is anticipated, because it's all about anticipation. When you go to a place that anticipates all of your needs, you remember this and it stays with you. It has an afterglow. And think about how you can bring that afterglow into your home. There are ways to create a hospitality environment. We talk about self-care a lot, but what are some of the small things that we can do? And listeners, I challenge you to be thinking about 10 small things that you can do that mimic or mirror hospitality, and look to some of your greatest experiences. Listeners, I'll give you number one, right? The number one is the pillow insert from the Wynn Hotel, right? It's a little thing, right? Yeah. But that was a takeaway for me from one hotel experience was the Wynn Hotel, had the perfect proportion of down and feather, with just the perfect amount of loft. And, that's something that's one example. There it is, listeners, go do that. Go do that. But there's a lot of other ways.
Oh my gosh. There's so many things that you can do that just say to yourself like, hey, I'm worth it. Maybe it's a bathrobe that's just like so soft and cozy. Every time you put it on, it feels like you just got a hug. Or what about, for your morning coffee, the night before you set it up and you have this beautiful tray, and just the act of having all of that prepared for yourself to start your day off in the best way possible. But it's not just a mug on the table. It's, you've got just a beautiful presentation that you feel like you actually, that 5 minutes of taking the time to do that, it's just so worth it.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Love the bathrobe idea, even the bath towel, right?
Yes.
What is your bath towel? Is it pampering you? Is it soft to the touch? Does it remind you of a fine hotel experience when you're showering, which is every single day? How are you laying out your bathroom? Even going as far as that simple bud vase with the fresh flower. A lot of us, we like fresh flowers in our home, and we have them on our dining room table or in our kitchen island. But what about that beautiful bud vase in your bedroom? Or in your bathroom, which is just a gentle reminder that you matter.
Yeah.
That there is something that just brings a smile to your face. It's that unexpected surprise. And I think that's a big part of hospitality.
Yeah.
We talk about the walls talking, the floors, the furniture, the details. So these unexpected surprises in hospitality can be big surprises, that beautiful wall that has the water cascading and the light, indirect lighting shining in and around it, and the greenery associated with it. There's always that huge floral arrangement when you walk in the door that's so artfully done, right? Those are the ideas, guys, that you need to be thinking about for your home. I love the coffee idea, the perfect mug, the tray, even the tray in the bathroom where all of your little amenities are sort of arranged in such a way that reminds you of the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons. I think the other one is the beautiful throw, the cashmere throw, something I absolutely can't live without.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ideas.
No, there really is.
We do this, Valerie, in our spaces that we're creating. I want to come back to this idea of surprises, the element of surprise. This is how we delight. We delight ourselves. This is how we delight others. And we do that through the environments that we create, the surprise and delight, from the little chocolate, at checkout, to the amazing feature wall when you walk in, or that gargantuan chandelier that is just completely unexpected, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
While we're on the topic of hospitality, when you think about spas, we always associate those with wellness, but they are absolutely an integral part of hospitality. And that's why you see these destination resorts that have these spa environments or spa-like experiences, these sanctuaries, these places of refuge that are almost always affiliated and associated with hospitality. And so I think that's something that first of all, that's one of our principles of wellness design is spa. So we're going to talk about that in more detail, but I don't think we can not talk about spa as it relates to hospitality.
Oh, yeah, I agree 100%. You think back to ancient times and the idea of spa and wellness and the community part of how spa was experienced in places. And then you look at that and how that's evolved over the years, and how hospitality really, captured, that kind of synergy between the wellness and spa as part of that extension of their hospitality and community. So I think today's version of the day spa and wellness has really just allowed us to even further bring spa home and the hospitality home in that way.
Yes. Let's bring it home.
Let's bring it home.
And so we talked about these ideas of hospitality, and incorporating those into your everyday world. But we can go much deeper than that. Today we're seeing residents incorporate infrared saunas and even cold plunges into their home. We talked about potentially even the foot soak in our home environments. And these are a little bit bigger investments, but it's the idea of spa because, listeners, it's all about when we're thinking about hospitality and we're thinking about, sort of, transforming the mind, body, and soul. It's all about creating a space that's a little bit even of a refuge or a sanctuary.
Yes.
And so that really still lends itself to hospitality. It's about caring for yourself. It's even about caring for others and sharing that wellness experience in the environments that we're creating. So I think the idea is to be thinking about your homes as sanctuaries and incorporating these ideas into the home to help transform your life. Along the lines of hospitality, if you haven't listened to the resonant framework yet, one of the key dimensions of the resonant framework is relations and relational and connection, our connection with others and our connection with ourselves, for self-reflection. And that's something that is very important in terms of setting up your space, whether it's your home or your place of business, to create connection. And hospitality does such a great job of that with their, seating groupings. It really brings people together because it's all about shared experiences. And it's also a way to, through the spa-like environment and, more quiet spaces, to allow you to have this element of self-reflection and, sort of privacy and, especially in the hotel rooms and things like that. And so there's some good examples, I think, in hospitality that you can actually do in your home that really sort of bring that element of connection together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big things for me that I look to hospitality for is that it's really good about creating intimate spaces, with all the different modes of lighting. And there's usually a lot of softness and textures and the way that the furniture groupings are in their common areas. They're literally meant to foster, connection and for people to sit down together. So, oftentimes you see those beautiful fireplaces that are kind of in the feature.
Even the coffee shops.
Yes.
I was seeing more and more hospitality spaces bringing these cafes into the open, more public spaces that is part of reception in these open seating areas. And so you have the senses are really stimulated there with the smells from the coffee and the fresh baked goods and the fireplace that really allow for people to gather together and have these shared experiences.
Yeah. And I think what's also really interesting about that too is the fact that they're now creating multiple different areas within these shared spaces that allow for all different types of kind of conversations and, collaboration. So, you could choose to sit by the fireplace, or you could choose to be, overlooking a beautiful water view or, at the coffee bar. And I think that's also what's great about hospitality. It's about finding the moments that really resonate with you and how you can just truly, just find yourself in those moments.
And then I think, it's about taking hospitality to next level.
Yeah.
And this is how you should be thinking about your home too. For example, at the Rosewood Hotel in DC, they have this sort of library off to the side, and it has a fireplace in it and cozy plush seating within the library. And there's something about creating that feeling of, bringing that luxury with that sort of private, quiet area, and you're surrounded by literature.
Yeah.
Or the Portrait Hotel in Milano that had the most extensive artwork that I've ever seen in my life, everywhere you turn and look. And there were books set up on all the tables for just reflection and reading. And it really created curiosity. It was definitely the element of surprise. And it's incorporated with, their culture and their history, the design. And so these are just other examples. I've always loved this idea of incorporating a small library into your home, even if it's just a cozy corner. I think books and art and literature can play such an incredible role in design and creating that feeling of hospitality in any environment. We talk about planning and design, but when it comes to hospitality, Valerie, don't you agree there's a lot more planning that goes into it because it's more than just planning. It's about being thoughtful. It's about being caring. It's about being intentional.
Very much so. It definitely can't be one of those things that's an afterthought. We have to put the energy and the effort into making these moments, to making these memories and to create these experiences. Without proper planning, you're just left with, something basic. And we're trying to say, like, let's elevate to get that optimum well-being.
And what we're saying, listeners, it's because you're worth it.
Absolutely.
It's because you're worth it. A little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra thought, a little bit of extra care, a little bit of extra planning will really yield that result of self-care for you, for your family, for your extended family and friends, and will go a long way to nurturing, our human spirit. And that's what this is all about, listeners. Hospitality as a principle of wellness design is key. I hope you see that here.
Yeah.
And I really want you to think about that moving forward. Let us know what your thoughts are on hospitality, and, drop us a line. What were some of your amazing hotel and destination experiences that gave you an afterglow and really pushed you to incorporate these ideas into your home and your business to create transformation?